Welcome to this video where I'm gonna compare the Swedish edition of Hanna Karlzon's Midnattsmaskeraden, Midnight Masquerade, with the Dutch version Midnattsmaskeraden. Both books is the same size when you see them like this, and if you compare with Hanna's other books, this is Magical Dawn, they have all been the same size before this one. Midnight Masquerade is a little bit smaller, a little bit up here too, but most here. So they are the same size, the Dutch and the Swedish, but not if you look at them like this. Then you can see that Midnattsmaskeraden is almost double the size as the Swedish edition. And I have test colored in both, so I can compare the paper a bit in the end, but first I'm going to show you the version, the Swedish version, the one that Hanna likes, the book that is like Hanna wanted it to be. So first we have the title page, and then the name page. And Hanna has said that she wants it to be like a storybook, like a fairy tale about this midnight masquerade, but without text. And I think she has succeeded. She has said that she have put a lot of thought into in what order she have put the pictures to get the right feeling. So here people and animals are going to the masquerade, and here are more people and animals coming to the castle where the party is held. Here's the cat saying hello and welcome to the masquerade. And some lanterns with its cute fairy. And then a lot of people coming to this masquerade and their costumes. And some jewelries. Here we have the musicians. And here it's almost like a circus. And this girl looks a bit shy. More costumes. And this works really good together. I guess maybe she's the one selling these candies or giving them for free to the people. This is fun with the rabbits holding this. And she looks really majestic. And a wonderful cake, cupcakes, and this cute girl with her cat. In costume, of course. There is a lot of faces and girls to color in this, as in Hanna's other books, if you like to color skin. What I like about it is that they are a bit smaller. For me, it's good for me that are a bit intimidated by coloring skin still. So they are not as big as in the other books. As you can see, here are some really small ones. And I have seen some beautiful colorings on these pages. This is fun. The mice again, and sweets, ice cream, and bubbles in a bottle. That is always fun to color, I think. More guests at the party and their costumes. And here we have some medals, maybe hanging on the wall somewhere in the castle. And maybe this is, I don't know, you can imagine it being whatever. I am thinking maybe this is a kind of painting on the wall. I think it is, yeah. Here we have some dancing peasants and animals. Yeah, another cake. They need a lot of cakes because there are so many guests. And this girl is dressed like Little Red Riding Hood, I think. This would be a fun costume to have. This is also fun with all of the donuts and the cat. A beautiful girl and a vase with flowers and berries. And here we have the mushroom kids and flower kids, a forest family. And a vampire with her vampire cat beside this beautiful page. This is a page I have colored. It's almost done. I'm going to show you it later. It's the page I have compared the books. No, yeah. And we have the frog in a frame. More girls with masks. Two friends, maybe lovers, maybe not. And this bird. And a little cat. And then they put off their mask because the party is over. The end. So that was the Swedish version. So then we're gonna flip through the Midnattsmaskeraden, where the publisher have made a little bit different with the pictures. First it starts the same with the title page. And then we have the name page and the people marching towards the party. So still it looks the same, but now it looks different. It's an empty page here, so if you like to use markers, you can use it without destroying anything on the back, which I guess some people will think is good. But Hanna thinks that this has ruined the theme, the way it was supposed to be, like a story. So here is this picture with a cat and a girl. And here we have this page that in the Swedish edition was here. So this is still a double spread with the people going to the masquerade. And here we have an empty page again, and the cat is saying hello and welcome. Empty page. And the girls, the little girl and the lanterns. And these two in masks. Here we have an empty page again. And this girl with her bird. Empty page again. And this crown with the birds. A double spread for musicians. Empty page again, and the circus theme page. Empty page again. And as you can see, in the Swedish version it looked like this, and in the Dutch version like this. So they had mirrored this picture in the Dutch version. Here we have the candy seller, but not with the candies next to her, because it's an empty page again. Here we have her wagon with candies and an empty page. Empty page again. So you can understand now why this book is double in this thickness. Here we have these warriors. And in the empty page, I think in the Swedish edition they were standing together. Yes, in the Swedish edition it looked like this. In the Dutch version they were on separate pages. Here we have this magnificent girl again with her bunnies. It's still a double page. Then we have an empty page and a cake and the cupcakes, which look like this in the Swedish edition. But you remember in the Dutch edition this was in the beginning. This looks the same as in the Swedish edition, the two girls next to each other. Empty page again. And in the Swedish edition it looked like this. They were next to each other, these two pictures. But in the Dutch edition it's on its own. This looks the same in both books. Here we have the girl. These are still double spread, even in the Dutch edition. The mice and bottles and all the candies and like ice cream and things. Here we have the dancing girl and her dancing mice. It looked like this in the Swedish edition, with this picture next to it. After that, it's a double page that looks the same in both books. But here we have a girl on her own. And it looked like this in the Swedish edition. Here we have the medals and this bird inside the frame. It is the same in both books. Here is the picture that was next to this one in the other book, in the Swedish edition. In the Dutch they are on their own and have white pages behind. Here we have this girl, or maybe boy. This is still a double spread, looking the same in both books. But here we have a single girl again. And in the Swedish version it looks like this. She was next to the girl with the cake. Here she's on her own. And a white page behind it, and here we have the girl with the cake. And the cat with the donuts, which looked like this in the Swedish edition. And like this in the Dutch edition, and here we have the girl. We have the vase, and in the Swedish edition it looked like this, with a girl, beautiful girl next to it. In the Dutch. White page again, and here we have the girl. So you can see they have split a lot of pages that were together in the Swedish edition. But not the double spreads, I think. They are still keeping them together, as I can see. In the Swedish edition it had the vampire girl and cat next to it, which comes here in the Dutch version. More white pages, and here we have the frog. And it looked like this in the Swedish edition, with a frog on one side and this girl with umbrella on the other side. Here the frog is alone, and I guess, yeah, here it is. And it is a VIP, work in progress, because I wanted to test the paper. It's not finished, but it's a start. Here we have the two girls again together. And this was the last page, almost the last page in the other book, in the Swedish book, as it was like the party is now over and you can take off the masks. It looked like this, if you remember. But here we have this picture after it. The people on the balcony. We have the cat lady from this page, the Swedish edition. And we have this page. Do you remember? In the Swedish edition this was in the beginning, before you entered it, just when you entered the masquerade. It's in the end of this book, the Dutch version. And then it's nothing. It's the last page. It's just white, and it's the end. So one page is missing. The end page is missing from the Swedish edition. So that is how they look. And now I'm gonna tell you a bit about what I think about the paper. This is not finished, but almost. It's more done than the one in the Dutch version. But I started to use a lot of different mediums on both in a similar way to compare the paper. So I have tested Stabilo, I have tested Polychromos, I have tested Neocolor. I have also heard that the paper in the Dutch versions of the coloring books are so good. I have never tried, I haven't never bought one before, so I can't compare this paper with other Dutch books as I have never had one before. But I can say that I like the paper better in this one than in the Swedish version. I think the paper in the Swedish version is a bit strange. I have heard other people saying that as well. It's not just me. But I have also heard people that like it a lot. So I think it depends a bit on how you color, what mediums you use, and what kind of paper you like, I guess. What I feel is that it is really, really hard to blend on this paper in the Swedish book. I have heard other people saying that as well. I'm no expert of papers, but I do feel like this, almost like it feels like a hard paper. It's a bit like a tiny sandpaper almost. I have been pressing really, really hard with my pencils. This is just a pencil background, but I have pressed really, really hard, and I had to do that on all my pictures where I have been using pencils. This is a Prismacolor background. I pressed and I pressed because it's like the paper always shine through. It's really hard to make it look vivid. So I think the paper in the Dutch version is better. It's smoother. It feels like a normal paper, which I for some reason don't think. The Swedish edition is a bit hard and strange for some reason, but I am starting to get used to it. I have used water-based markers on in both books, and it worked similar in both books. It was a good way of getting things covered quite quickly, as the paper makes it hard to burnish it, and it's hard to make it vivid. It's good to have this base layer with water-based markers and then go on top of that with pencils. I thought that was a good way, and I also have been using, here I used pencils as a base, and then I have been using markers on top of the pencils. And the Neocolor worked a little bit better in the Dutch version. And the only reason is that it's a thicker paper. It's not just more pages, it's also thicker paper, so it doesn't buckle as much. This, when I use Neocolors on this page in the Swedish book, it became a little bit more wobbly and buckly, but it didn't bleed through in any of the books. So I did like the paper better in the Dutch version, and I think it's good for people who like to use alcohol markers that it has some single pages. You don't have to be afraid of bleeding through. And it worked really well with all mediums, this paper. It worked excellent with pencils and Neocolors and water-based markers. And in this book I felt that I had to press quite hard, and I had to be extra careful to not use too much water. And I think the paper feels a bit strange, a bit like it's almost like a sandpaper. I have to press really, really hard to get the color in. So if I just could buy one book, I would definitely buy the Swedish one. That is because I prefer the way the picture looks in this book, this storytelling feeling. And as it is smaller with less pages than Hanna's other books, I have this feeling I might even finish this one day. I think it has super cute picture that sparks one's imagination, and so that is why I'm going to go to color more in this. But I'm happy I bought this too, because I can experiment more in this, and I don't feel the same need to be precious about this book, because I don't think it looks as nice. And as I have the other one, it feels like the original one, and this feels like more of a copy, and I think it has lost a bit of its feeling when they have done it like this with a picture. But I can understand that some people will like this more with the paper quality and some single pages. So as always, it's up to you what you like, but I wanted you to see the difference between them, as I have been curious, and I think some of you might also have been curious about the difference between them. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you later. I have vacation now, so maybe I can do more videos. Shoo!